Hey there, TSW friends. I promised like at my 1 year mark that I was going to do kind of a prep video on how to like what my routine is and just some prep ideas before you get started with TSW, or maybe if you're in the throes of TSW, just some things that have worked for me, and I'd love to hear from you what works from you as well. But these are things that that have worked well for me. So a few tips here. First of all, I'm going to give a few tips and then I'm going to go through kind of some prep work. So hold on here. So I really prefer the Cryomax 8-hour ice packs, and they work really well during the day and at night. So if you haven't already got stocked up on those, please do that. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at Walmart or wherever. But they stay cold the longest. And so if you're going to get any kind of ice pack, that would be it. And I don't have them here for show and tell, so just look at a past video. But I think they're really good to wrap around your wrist or double up and wrap around a couple places on your arms or legs or wherever feels comfortable. But certainly overnight, they are the most helpful because you don't have to replace like 20-minute cold ice packs throughout the night. And there are still ice packs that I sleep with, but I don't use them all the time, but I still have them on standby if I do, so it still is my nightly routine. I'm at 18 months TSW. In just a couple days. When I switch over to June, I will be 18 months, so I'm so close. Anyways, what I'm trying to get at is I like to keep the ice packs underneath my pillow because in bed at night, because they actually stay colder longer, it seems. So it kind of makes this little insulated, cooler section of the bed. So then if you need something, just reach under your pillow and grab it. I have also used my pillow in the past. I haven't needed this for a while, but eye drops and because my eyes would get really super dry, and I think that was just a part of detox because I haven't had that the whole time. But I would have eye drops because otherwise I could barely open my eyes. So I needed them close by. And when you're in the throes of TSW, sometimes there are times where it's hard to just even stretch your arm because the skin is so tight. So glasses, eye drops, ice packs, everything went under my pillow. Just so it was like easy to reach. Okay. Other than that, okay, what else is... So I also... Since I have a lot of skincare stuff I have a 5-step skincare regimen. If you want to know what that looks like, you can look at my past videos again. But I don't have a huge bathroom, and we're a family of 5. So I just have this little tiny carrying case bag, and I just put everything in there. So it's kind of like dorm style, right? In college, like I just kind of have this little carrier case that I take in the bathroom and out of the bathroom. So if that's helpful to you, that worked well for me. And especially like now that I'm getting more flexible with being able to stay overnight places, I can the stuff is already packed. I can just grab my bag and leave for the day or leave overnight, and it's all together. So that's helped me. As far as Epsom salt goes, for all the Epsom salt baths that I've taken over the course of the last 18 months, I'm slowing down now. I'm taking way more showers than baths now. Hallelujah. But I did find it helpful to buy the giant bags of Epsom salt on Amazon and have an Amazon Prime membership. I did cancel my Amazon Prime like a couple months ago now, 2 or 3 months ago, because I no longer need that much Epsom salt. But that really helped us because the weight of the bag is that much more for shipping. So if you have Amazon Prime, it pays for itself. So that was really helpful. And I probably ordered it like a giant bag once a month. So you can just prepare yourself for that. I think it was like roughly $28 or something, but, okay. I'm definitely on a vitamin regimen. And again, just look at my TSW blog, tswskinwar.wordpress.com. If you want to look up the vitamins that I'm on, or I also have a video somewhere along the way that goes through my whole vitamin regimen. But something else that's been helpful is, I had been on an LDN, low dose Naltrexone prescription since the beginning, and just recently I've kind of gotten off that. No rhyme or reason. I'm still doing fine without, but at this point I think that LDN is known to help manage pain and withdrawal symptoms, and that was really helpful to me. And it's kind of this, It is a prescription, but it's kind of like a natural supplement, almost a prescriptive supplement. So if you can talk to your doctor about that and get a prescription of that, that's been really helpful just to take. I don't think you're going to see like this huge night and day difference. It's not going to be like you take it and all of a sudden you feel like extremely better, because some prescriptions you can feel instantly. I think with the LDN, it gradually builds your health back, just like the vitamins, supplements kind of help do that as well. So just keep that in mind, that, you know, stick with it for the long haul is what I'm saying. I think it's totally worth it. I did do the light therapy in the beginning, light box therapy with the dermatologist, and I would just say, please don't waste your money on that. It didn't do any good. It just cost me a whole lot of money. So just putting that out there for you. Also, okay, so little quick tip. There was a time where I could not wave hello, give a high five. Like I couldn't bend at my wrist because it was just that raw and swollen and stiff. The skin was really stiff. And so there were times where, you guys, I've had to learn to get used to crumbs on my dining room table, by the way. It doesn't always get wiped because I'm not going to wipe it and get my hands wet. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But in the meantime, there are tons of crumbs that get piled up over time. And if you can't move your wrist, it's really frustrating. So what I've learned is that I take like a hamburger flipper, a little spatula, and actually just kind of like scrape alongside the table and into my hand, and then, you know, just like, okay, into the garbage. And that helps quite a bit too. So anyways, that's how you can decrumb your kitchen if you don't have the flexibility to sweep it with your hands or with a sponge or something. The reason why I don't really use a sponge or a washcloth, I actually have helpers or my family go ahead and do that for me, because if you're anything like me, which I've heard this before in the TSW community, so I don't feel so odd saying this, but when my hands get wet, my skin is just extra thin and brittle and sore all the time. So for whatever reason, just simple water outside of an Epsom salt bath, but any like wet chores, it irritates my skin enough where at some point I just want to burn the life out of my hands with hot water. And I know that's not good for my skin, so I try to prevent that from happening by calling on help to do the dishes, to wipe off the counters and table, to clean the bathroom. And even when my skin has been at its worst, you know, I have people who come over and fold laundry, just because the more I'm bending and flexing and whatever, manipulating my fingers and the fine motor skills, the more it agitates my skin. So just trying to prevent that a lot of times. This last month has probably been the most successful month that I haven't needed somebody here all the time. And even if I don't feel like I absolutely need them, like, oh, I could do that, I still call on them because I'm not completely done with withdrawal. And again, I just want to prevent irritation from happening on my skin so that I'm that much further ahead of the game, so I don't have to not just go through withdrawal, but the setbacks of flaring my skin if I'm agitating it in the meantime. Okay, so, and then also, I did mention this on one of my other videos, but whenever I leave the house, I like to carry in my purse, you know, 1 or 2 skincare products, so that if my hands get a little dry or irritated, I can put that on. And then ice packs too. So I'm constantly taking that along. If for some reason you're going somewhere where you don't want like ice packs on because you just don't feel comfortable in that situation, if you're like trying to withhold a certain status as you're healing, you know, always like a little trick that I have is just, and this isn't necessarily the one, but you know, getting a water bottle full of cold water or something like that. And as you're holding the ice bottle, it's also doubling as an ice pack. So that's something that's worked well for me. And so just a little tip to pass on to you. Just remember, like if you're going to be gone for a super long time, just to make sure that you make sure that you're prepared to leave the house for that long. All right, so always pack cream and ice. Got it. Okay. One of the things, I've been temperature sensitive and light sensitive, sunlight sensitive here and there. So a couple tips would be, number 1, if you're in the house, keep it as cold as a meat locker. Have a little thermometer nearby if you need to, just so that you can kind of gauge what your skin is most comfortable with. Because if you start itching, even if you don't feel completely hot and irritated that way, I just know that if my skin gets irritated, like if it's 90 degrees out the last few days, and my skin got a little irritated there. Otherwise, they look like they were almost healed just a couple days ago. But anyways, it's May. It's like 96 degrees out. And I did end up putting ice packs on my skin. But anyways, over the last year, regardless of what season it is, my body just, I notice that if I get a little irritated, it probably means my body's too hot. Whether that's overall environment temperature, or if I'm snuggled into bed and I'm underneath my covers and the covers, I just get a little too hot underneath my covers. So just be sure that you're able to take off a layer or two and cool yourself off. And again, always have ice nearby. One of the things that I've been able to do with my husband is it's for a season, so keep this in mind. It's not forever. But my husband's body heat is way too hot, so a lot of times I just take like a sheet and a thin blanket or something over top, and I just kind of tuck it in the side so that I'm warm enough by myself but not overheated. But I kind of cocoon myself so that there's like a wall in between myself and him so that he's not sharing his body heat with me and getting me overheated. But the times that we want to cuddle, I just have ice packs on the ready, and that seems to be doing all right for the time. All right, so my morning routine, it kind of has changed over time because there were times where it was hard for me, again, to get out of bed, to even just lift the covers off me because my skin was just so sore and achy, and I'd be up all night just in and out of consciousness, like being aware of my skin and how it was feeling. And then my sons would wake me up bright and early in the morning. I have 3 boys, and they would be like, "Mommy, I'm ready for breakfast, please help me make breakfast." And so a lot of times I'd say like, okay, older brother's going to have to help. I'll be out in a minute. And usually it took me a few minutes to really be able to roll out of bed. And my youngest son, he's 6, just the cutest thing. He would be like, "Okay, Mom, here's your glasses. Here's your slippers. Here's your, ice packs." I mean, he would just totally take care of me and give me a helping hand out of bed or whatever. And so anyways, it would take me a little while to get out of bed, and then breakfast was always hard, especially during the time where this chunk of skin was completely just clawed open and so raw and irritated all the time, and just trying to get breakfast on the table for them before school. That was always a challenge, but with the help of my boys and husband when he was around, but mostly my boys and me, we managed. I just had to be patient because I could do everything this whole time. There were some things that took me longer, or a lot of times too, like I would have like a morning shake and I couldn't twist because my, like I mentioned, like there was a time where this was all really stiff and I couldn't twist or turn. So I had to call on my oldest son to be like, "Eli, can you do this for me?" And he'd be glad to help. But just so you know, like the parents out there, especially the parents who are home with kids, that's kind of what it looks like for me. But then I would, so early in the morning, usually before I even got out to the kitchen, I would kind of do a skin lather, like I'd lather whatever it was I was using on my skin at the time. And because it kind of changed here and there through the different seasons of withdrawal. But I would just kind of do a little thing here. I'd probably be itching the whole time for in that time in the morning routine in the kitchen. And then as soon as I was done with breakfast, I'd grab the ice, or sometimes I'd wear the ice while I'm preparing breakfast, but just so you kind of get an idea of what that looked like. And then I would get my own breakfast shake with vitamins and protein and whatnot. It helps the skin. And take my vitamins and, see my kids out the door. And for a while in the very beginning of TSW, I did take them to school. And everything worked out fine. But I preferred not to take them to school if I could, because I knew winter was approaching and I didn't want to be outside and all the seasonal elements, the weather elements, and irritate my skin and all the different temperature changes and light exposure and wind and rain and snow and all that. So I did finally convince the bus company to take the kids. So, and it's just for this year until I'm better, maybe 2 years, I don't know. But I'm feeling well enough at this point I'm 18 months in. I feel like I'm fine. And I've always been well enough to do it. It's just my preference. Again, not to set myself back or throw any more irritation or agitation in the mix, just letting my skin heal and let other people help me. Okay, so, and then after the boys went to school, I would actually soak for an hour or two in the bathtub in the Epsom salt bath. But I don't have to do that anymore. The last month or so, I've just been showering only. Okay, a little bit about my diet. I've been mostly, I try to eat as many vegetables as I can, and I try to mix that into whatever meals and snacks that I have as best as possible. I try to aim for 6 to 9 veggies, eating the rainbow every day. And I try to be, or I am gluten-free, and I try to be reduced dairy, sugar, and red meat. And for everything that I eat, now sometimes I'm a little bit more lenient with the rest of my family because they're not as sensitive as me, because I do have some food allergies, but I eat basically organic, or I make things from scratch because I have allergies with gluten, a lot of seasonings, a lot of food coloring, artificial and natural, and that excludes a lot of food that you buy from the store. So if you're wondering my routine, my diet, that's where I'm at. And then again, I do mostly organic and clean and green food. Okay, so my bedtime routine then would be that, throughout the day I would kind of nurse my skin as it calls my name. So, if I'm itching, if I need some more skin stuff to put on my skin, I might do that. I might put on ice, whatever it is. It varies. There were times when I needed stuff constantly throughout the day and I never had a break, and I always had something that I was doing to nurse my skin back to health. Then I would do that. But for the most part, it's just kind of been like, okay, I put ice on for a little while. Okay, I put cream on. It's fine now. Whatever. So however that looks, like I said, as the seasons change, my routine always changes, and you just kind of gotta listen to your body. My bedtime routine has kind of been where, so I tuck everything under my pillow and make sure I always have ice packs. I put one more skin application before I go to bed. There was a time in the very beginning of TSW that I would have I did Vaseline right away in the beginning, and then I moved on to Vanicream, and then I moved on to the youth skincare regimen. But I've always had, in the very beginning stages, probably the first 6 months or so, I always had something next to my bedside, because in the middle of the night I would wake up and I would need another application. But I haven't needed that for a long, long time, so I usually don't need to keep that next to my bed anymore. But yeah, I usually take some vitamins, LDN, before going to bed, the ice, cream, and then I'm good the rest of the night. Okay, bath time. I'm a big Epsom salt bath fan. I put 2 cups of Epsom salt in a full bath. Not too hot, not too cold. There were times that it got too hot and I would start itching in the bathtub, so when that happened, I just have to run some more cold water to cool off the water temperature, because I don't have a thermometer around, but I can just tell when my skin is not doing well. Now, there were times when I started losing hair a little bit, about the 4th or 5th month in. That was really hard for me, and that lasted a short while, and so I'm super glad that my scalp is holding on to my hair now. But you never know what you're so grateful for until that happens. I also have my lovely detox. Oh, you can't really see it as much right now, but I have kind of a detox ripple where my hair is outgrown over the last 18 months. A kink in my hair. Okay, so bath time. There are some people who will take varying kind of baths that work for them. You just gotta find what works for you. I prefer Epsom salt, and then there were times when my skin definitely felt more irritated than not, and just red patches and different things that just weren't going away. And the doctor just said, take a bleach bath. I have always hated bleach, so it took me a really long time to be comfortable with this, and I tried the apple cider vinegar. It did not do the trick for me, but it did not prevent infection enough. So I did do a 1/4 cup bleach bath and a full bath as needed. There were times when I made sure that I did that I was doing it monthly, but that wasn't enough. So there was a time where I was doing them every week or two. And then there was a time where I tried them daily. I wouldn't recommend them daily though. All right, that's all for now. I will actually do another video since this one's getting a little lengthy on just a few things that I did to prepare for TSW before we got started. All right.